So, as we all know, you actually don't need an introduction, and I believe words aren't enough to talk about your amazing artwork. And you have inspired every one of us in the design team in so many ways possible. So, I will just keep it as brief as possible. So, ma'am here is a award-winning Madhubani artist. Madhubani Art is basically from Bihar, and she is from Bihar too. And we are going to learn more about Madhubani art and various other Indian forms of art in her journey through this course of 40 minutes. Started with questions whenever you're ready.
Yes. We can start.
Okay, perfect. So, according to you, why arts? Why not something more European or contemporary? What drew you to Indian arts?
Pardon, can you repeat the question again? I could not hear you.
Okay, so what, according to you, drew you to Indian arts? Why not something contemporary or something European? Why Indian arts?
See, initially, why Indian art? What I would say that I was born and brought up, in a family where my elders actually taught me, the Indian cultural, those values. Like when I was, though I have studied in an English medium school, which was a well-known school, but still, from my teachers and from my family members, the kind of uh, the type of education that I got, and the kind of environment I was brought up in. So that actually, made me interested more to, you may say, the Indian culture and heritage. And that's the reason I took art, that was the most important one more thing. And then as I was, I studied more about the art forms. See, in India, what actually is that there are two kinds of art. One is um, the folk art that has a fixed style, or each region has their own style of doing the painting. So that's the what you call as folk art, and there are some tradition that each tribes follow, or the people of that particular region follow. So those tribal arts, and there are so many different kinds of art that really means made me interested. And like, for example, say Madhubani, and then there are art forms like Gond, Kalankari, Pichwai, um, like all fat paintings, and the Patachitras of Odisha and the Bengal painting. So these all actually, you may say that culturally our country is so rich. So that's the reason that I got so interested in this Indian art. Actually, that's the reason.
Wow, that's so inspiring, and I love how that's so analyzed and you broke it down for us so beautifully. So, on a very related note, so speaking about artists and types of art, do you think artists have a huge role in preserving the culture of India or the heritage and culture of India?
Yeah, artists actually, for any person, say, like, it depends on the artist, to if one is following Indian art. like it depends on the artist to keep that art alive. So you may say that you know you have an artist who is practicing the folk art or say the tribal art. They do it and then they pass that their knowledge to the next generation. So it's not that you're going to learn everything from the books or from the museums or visiting the museums. You get it from passed on from one generation to the other, and so it is very important for the artist, they contribute to keep the art alive. So that is the reason I think artists have to do the work.
Okay. So, speaking of being an artist, what do you think were your biggest struggles when you became a full-time artist?
My biggest struggle, you may say that first I was considered as an urban artist who was well educated. So initially, the struggles were like that. I was not given that opportunity since I'm also self-learned. Like no one in my family was doing this art. Means I have not taken it from the family. So like I was first, I have taken like I'm a postgraduate in chemistry, and then I did my I was into teaching mathematics and science. So it was only after the birth of my son that I took this art form as a profession. So initially, like I was not given the opportunity, saying that you don't need to, or you are not from the family where this has been handed down from generation to generation. So you won't be able to do it. Also, you can't take it professionally because your livelihood will not be dependent on this art. So these were the few things. So I was not given that opportunity in any of the platforms, so you may say, or any of the art galleries. Also, I went to several art galleries in Delhi as well as in this thing. But during that time, I got, say, in 2006 around, I got an opportunity in to showcase my artwork online. Um, So it was National Geographic's website called novika.com. And that was the first time. So I took it, the opportunity as a, seriously to take it forward. Because that not only gave me an opportunity, just to get my works listed, but it was an opportunity to um, showcase your work to the worldwide audience. So that's how I started. Then from Delhi, I moved to Bangalore around in say 2007 or 8. After that, then I got several other opportunities here. Once paintings started selling, there was no looking back. So that's how. But there was struggle. See, this kind of struggle is there when you are practicing the traditional and folk art. It's not a very easy thing, but it's the love and passion for this art that kept me going forward.
So, speaking about you becoming an artist, is there any particular piece of advice you would want to give people who want to take art as a full-time job, or like they're very passionate about it, they want to take it up further? Is there any advice?
If you are passionate about any art, you have to learn it well. That is very important. Learn it well, and then you have to be confident, to take it forward, take it to another next level. You have to try you have to, and as you know, in what you say, like for even in your art as this, you have to practice the features of that art, and you have to understand the not only the features but as well as the culture and what is the the story or that goes behind it. So you have to understand the entire thing and then take it forward to the next level, because you have to evolve not only the art but your art also. So that is how you have to master, means you just have to master the.
Okay. So, ma'am, do you think schools should be teaching Indian forms of art, like Indian styles of art? Do you think you advocate schools teaching that?
Yes, uh, because I think there are two, say one or two reasons behind it. The first is that creating awareness about the difference. See, culturally, we are so rich country that each and every region of our, we will say, that of our country has different forms of art. Say in say a single state can have say 3 4 forms of art or 5 forms of art. For example, let's take a Rajasthan. There are so many arts, like you have Pichwai, you have fart paintings, you have Mughal miniature. So, and also in miniature paintings, there are different schools of art. So, if like if you make students, that first thing is that if they are taught in school, there will be an awareness about the culture of our country. And secondly is that when you do something, then you understand, the amount of effort that goes into doing it. And you start, and once you understand that effort, you will respect that, that person who is doing it. Or say the towards the work, that respect comes. Most of the people, like since that education is not there, that awareness is not there, or say they have not done it themselves, that is the reason they don't respect. So I think creating awareness as well as respect for the art as well as the artist is very important, and that's the reason each and every person should be educated about these art. uh, so
Okay, so we should all definitely look into that. We should read in more. And speaking of specific Madhubani art, what do you think is the most important aspect of Madhubani art?
see, Madhubani art actually, it's popularly known as Madhubani art. The actual name is Mithila art. So Madhubani art has actually started from the wall painting that is done during the time of marriage. That's known as cover. And those motifs, or the say whatever the central theme of the painting, everything is related to bringing auspiciousness and good luck and fertility. The motives are all really related to that. So that is drawn very colorfully, giving the vibe of that thing. And one room is created where all the rituals will be performed in front of that marriage, in front of that painting. So now, when it was taken commercially, after there was a drought in that region in 1968 or so, so in commercially when it was practiced, then those motifs and the style of the painting was developed.
Okay.
So you may say that it is from that wall painting, it has come into paper and what we see today as developed as Madhubani art. But there are, a lot of different styles in Madhubani also, which are very popular. It's not only like one single this thing. So there are like 4 or 5 different styles, out of which 3 became very popular and people are practicing these days. Those 3 forms. So those 3 forms, what you see in Madhubani is like the first form is like the Bhavni style, uh, where we actually sketch the entire painting with say the black, and then colors are filled. For example, let me just show you. Say, I'll show it to you. Just I will flip the camera and show it to you.
Okay.
So this is what I meant by, Bharni style of painting, where you actually do first a sketch in black, and then when you are filling in the color, so that's Bharni. Bharni means you are filling it up with color. भर रहे हैं हम आप रंग को.
Okay.
So these are Bharni styles of the painting. So not only you create paintings with it, you can create, different types of products, like a journal, or say a key holder, or say even these days people create a lot of mm, other products. They are using it in other products. Other than this, there are the second style of Madhubani is the Kachni style of painting, which is actually, you may say that it's everything is hatched.
Okay.
We're not supposed to put in color in that. So the entire painting, whether the branches or the flowers or the main motif or the whatever the figures that you're drawing, every single part is hatched with the pen or the nib that we use. So that's another style which is known as the Kachni style. Kachni basically means hatching. You are hatching it with different kinds of designs. And so that's the second style. And there is one more style, the Godhna style, or it's popularly known as the tattoo style of the painting. So basically, the tattoos were there. So those motifs which were tattooed on the body, that was that is used to make the painting and to depict the stories and depict the stories using those tattoos. So that's the known as the Godhna style. So you may say that there are different styles in the painting. So you are free to choose whatever style you want, whatever painting you want to do. There is no limitation to like you have to do this only. There is a lot of scope to explore in Madhubani painting.
Okay. Ma'am, those paintings were incredibly beautiful, and we've all been following your Facebook and Instagram religiously because we're being so inspired by this. So I wanted to see, what was the inspiration for each of those paintings? Is there anything specific? Is there a story that it follows? Your paintings specifically?
See, my paintings, yeah, sometimes it's just the motifs, painting it's just the motifs, like the say a pair of fish or whatever, or say if it is mythological, or say telling a story, then stories, you create stories and paint it. So generally in Madhubani, say stories relating to nature or mythology, a detailed mythological themes, stories related to marriages are, because it's a painting that has come from the walls of the, that is drawn during the time of marriage. So a lot of stories related to marriage. Then, of course, in today's present times, these days you see a lot of people doing, contemporary themes, or say in our recent times, there are many artists and artisans who are actually creating, uh, the present day situation, how in COVID times, how people are facing the problems, what are the types of problems they are facing. So everything can be depicted using those features. What I told you, any art form has a certain distinct features, and using those features you can actually distinguish from each and every folk art. So you just have to use those features and create whatever you want.
Okay.
So,
Ma'am,
yeah.
so speaking of features, I just wanted to understand from your perspective, what is very different about Indian arts versus the rest of the world's arts? Because whenever we think of this answer, we just think Indian arts are more colorful. But is there something bigger beyond that?
See, Indian art is not only colorful, but it lets you know about the culture of the country. Any art form. I'm not telling that any the traditional art, or say um, the art forms that are practiced just in the country. Uh, any other country also. So what they tell you about the local stories, or say the stories which are told only through those art, whereas you cannot find art being depicted in the other art forms of the Western countries. So it is only through Indian art you will tell those stories. And there are not only the stories of mythology, but even every region has their own local, what do I say, their main stories in their locality, their folk tales. Those folk tales are usually told through these art. So that's why it's so diverse and so culturally rich. That is the reason, that's the differentiation. Otherwise, with any art form you can tell stories. That is the thing.
Okay. So, speaking of your journey, like, did you face any criticism along the way? And if you did, how did you deal with it? Because you're such a big artist, and usually we crumble at the smallest bit of criticism. And coming such a long way, we wanted to understand, did you face any? How did it go?
Criticism in the sense, yes, initially, like, that's what I told. When I was practicing this art, uh, people said that you are not supposed to, first of all, people see you like they were saying that since you're sitting in, in Madhubani, it means you're sitting in Bangalore and practicing Madhubani art. See, I can't leave my family and go back to my roots and sit there and practice the art. You can sit anywhere in the world and practice the art form that you want to. So that was the first thing. So initially it was said that, okay, if you're sitting in Bangalore and making Madhubani painting is just like, uh, serving North Indian food in South India or South Indian food in North India. So that actual authenticity is lost. So I don't believe so, because what I think is, um, um, because if you're good at it and you have that passion to take it forward, um, it doesn't matter where you are sitting and doing, who is sitting and doing it, and what is the medium you are using to do it. See, suppose I don't want to do it with natural. I use acrylic colors on handmade. So some people can use watercolors. Some people can use, say, whatever medium they choose to do. You know, they can do it on silk, canvas, anything. But they should know how to do it properly. If they know it, how to do it properly, there is no reason like you have to go and sit in that place and make the art. So that is the, but I have not taken any of these kind of, small criticisms as in a negative manner. I always believe that mm, you may say that let your art speak rather than you speaking, you coming forward and speaking कि हाँ मुझे यहीं पे बैठ के करना है or something like that. So it is upon the audience to explore or say whatever way you want to interpret the art. It is my work to just create the art and what I can passionately do. So with that belief, I'm going forward. So I have taken my whatever criticism. See, hardly I got, frankly speaking, not much criticism to my this. But whatever little has been, I have not taken in a negative way. And taking it forward positively with all positiveness. And almost you may say that now that I get a lot of queries and people love my work. They do. Some people do love my work and say they keep on, So half of my say 1.5 hours every day I spend on the net, explaining everyone like what are the how it is done, or say what is the type of papers that I'm using, or the colors one can use, how they can do it properly. Also helping some of the people, to create, how to create, or say making them learn. So I have made it a point that create an awareness. So that's the reason I started a Facebook group in the year, say 2008 or so, 8, 9, just to create the awareness. Because when I started, selling in the bazaars, because online when I was doing, I did not know like what people are thinking about the art form. I just see or look at it or buy it. That's I was not interacting with them. But when I started selling my work through the bazaars or in the exhibitions, then while interacting with the people, I realized that half of the people, they don't know what the art form is. So to create an awareness, and then I started the Facebook group. So strictly, I have kept it to just creating awareness only to the art form that I do. So it is only about the Madhubani painting. It's the name itself is Madhubani painting, the group, and the group is now, it's like more than 26,000 people. It's a member group.
Wow.
So it's one of the largest group of Facebook of Madhubani painting. So I run that.
That is so inspiring.
And people not only say from India are interested, or say those the Indians who are staying worldwide, they are also making paintings. And that's a platform that has now developed into a platform where people share their work. So they create, they share, they learn from each other. Say, from your mistake, I can learn something. From others' mistake, you can learn something. So it's just a learning platform. So that's the reason, that was the first the thing. Yeah, so that is the what we were talking about. I just went. So this is what I have taken things very positively, and that's what I am can say that how I took it forward.
Ma'am, that's such an inspiring, empowering way to look at it. And like I really like how you're so strong-willed and you like got where you are all on your own, and that's incredible to look at. And it made us believe that we can also be like big time artists one day. So I'm at the
See,
end of my
if
question.
you work day and night, like yes, in my initial days, I have not only initial days, even these days, I have worked. The passion is like I sit at night and create paintings till 2:30, 3 o'clock, like that, until and unless I am finished, or say half done. I don't live it. I don't feel like living it. Or say if one day I don't paint, I don't has that, somehow I have to do this. So you have I would like to say that. I
So ma'am, I'm at the end of my
yes,
questions. So we'll be entertaining any questions from the audience.
sure.
So while we wait for that, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
Mm, no, I think we have talked about almost everything. So if there will be any other questions, then maybe I can answer that.
Okay. We'll just wait for another few minutes and then we'll.
So you asked about the schools being taught about this. So in your school, say how many art forms have you learned? So that is
Ma'am,
also an important.
I think because we're design students, we're learning to explore quite a few ourselves. But considering India's rich heritage, I feel like we'll never get around to learning enough. So we have been trying a
Yeah.
few authentic block prints and all of that. But yeah, as you said, we haven't really dived in and we haven't really understood the nuances of
No,
it.
I have taken, say, around 4 years back or so, I have taken a mm, workshop in DPS Bangalore, means Whitefield. I have
Okay.
taken myself, I have taken a workshop in your school. I don't know whether which batch was that, but yes, it's not that, you know. So that is the kind of exposure you actually need, to there is so much of so many things to learn actually.
Very true. So, ma'am, we
I
have
don't
one
think
question from the audience, which is
yeah,
what are your suggestions on teaching folk art in Indian schools?
I think that we have already discussed, it has one has to you have to learn. That has to be, and I told you, oneness among the students, that is very important to learn that from which part of the country this art form is and how it is done and why it is done. That is first thing. And the thing is that until I respect, that art or the art, the people doing that art, or you don't understand actually how much the effort goes into creating art. So to understand, to make the students understand who will be their future generation, I think that's very important. The education of the every art form is important. in schools.
Absolutely. Ma'am, another question that we have is for big paintings, what paper do you suggest to use?
See, for paintings, you can, as I told you, you can do any medium. But as far as papers are, you can use handmade papers. Traditionally, handmade papers are used. Handmade papers come in different forms and textures. So you have to see whether the texture is of good quality. Sometimes it's very rough. Even your pens or nibs will not move on it. So you have to see and feel the texture, as well as you have to see that the paper is of good quality. It should not blot.
Okay.
That's one thing. There are papers, of artist quality papers, which are of matte finish and rough texture finish. Each are equally good. So it is up to you whether you want to choose the matte finish paper or this. Other than paper, other than these handmade papers, you can use the good brands which are um, good for acrylic colors or watercolors, or whatever medium you are choosing. So
Okay.
accordingly you go and choose, and the GSM of the paper, like the thickness of the paper, should be around, say, 180 to 220 GSM. That's the kind of paper that you should use for making the
Okay.
paintings.
Ma'am, that's perfect. Another question from the audience is what pens do you use for outlining?
See, for outlining or even the hatching that we do in Madhubani is especially designed just a nib with a holder. You just insert the
Okay.
nib in the holder and dip it in color and sketch. So the
Okay.
color can be, the naturally produced colors, or the color you can use the waterproofings, you can use, say, even the acrylic colors, the Fevicril or the camel colors that comes in the bottle. You just have to mix it up with water and dip the nib and sketch.
Okay.
So you just have to keep in mind while mixing, you know, that too much of water is not there, because if you put too much of water, it would be so flowy, and it would start blotting on the paper.
Right.
At the same time, if it is too thick, you're not using too much of a perfect water on this thing quantity. Then if it is too thick, your nibs, the ink in the nib will not flow. So
Okay.
nibs will not work. So it is just a little trial method. You have to understand yourself how much water you will put. That comes only through practice. Say when you are starting, you just have to see how much water is there, or say if it is not blotting, it's perfect. You can sketch. The moment, say, since these acrylic colors, it will also dry up very easily. After, say, half an hour, it will start drying and it will become thick. So the moment you see the nib is not working, then you understand, okay, now that um, your you need to add a few drops of water, and
Okay.
you have to make it flowy, so that
Okay.
again you can, and at the same time you have to keep on cleaning up your paint.
Okay.
So that's the traditional way. Most of the traditional artists, they use that. Other than that, there are other pens nowadays. There are a lot of pen liner pens that are available in the market. Um, for example, you can use Micron or Stedler. There are a lot of available in the market. So you can use those. You can use the rotary pens. There are other pens which are used for drawing. You know,
Okay.
Nothing that you
So, ma'am,
cannot use this or that in the painting.
okay. So, ma'am, when we talk about the nib pens, are they available online or should they be bought from a physical store?
No, they are available online also.
Okay.
I think on Amazon it is available. Um, I did not buy anything from there. In my initial days, I used to get it from Madhubani and Patna. So my
Okay.
house, like my parents' house is in Patna. So I used to go regularly. So I used to buy from there. Um, it's just a simple nib with a holder. You just need to insert it, say, a 10-15 rupees nib in a holder, and then just, dip in color and sketch. There are good quality nibs also available in the good art stores. There are Bangalore, all those stores which are selling only art materials. You get very good quality nibs, and that can be used for painting. So you can use, say, these acrylic colors to dip in. You can use the inks, the waterproof inks, whatever you want to. See, medium is not any, no, there is no restriction as such.
Okay. Ma'am, this is a very interesting questions from the audience again. So, how do you pick your color combinations?
Color combination, see, picking up the colors, that sense of colors, choosing the right color, or say, that comes, I think that is by birth. I have not, say, learned it, or say in the process, by making, until and unless you do it, by making mistakes, or say by creating, you understand, what colors should be used with what and what looks better. So now that I don't have to, um, now I don't put that much effort into, what color I should put where, and it should look good, because I know a fixed kind of this thing, that if I use this with this, it would look good.
Okay.
And then there are also a sense of colors actually comes, when you learn it properly. There are 2-3 things. See, then also it would look like Madhubani. But if you, combine the colors properly, then synchronized, everything looks like. Um, uh, so that is the reason I can't tell you exactly, how I do. It's just, how it comes to me. It's nothing
Okay.
that I learned it anyway. But yes, with
Okay.
a lot of practice,
So I
now I know what colors to use when.
Okay. So I guess we're out of questions from the audience too. So thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. I have learned so much, and I'm certain that everyone who viewed today's live session has learned so much.
Thank you, all of you. Yes, not only from the students of BPS Whitefield, but the audiences who have joined and listened to me. I did try to share whatever little knowledge I have, because every day is a learning process for me. So I am still learning, and I will be learning, throughout my life. So that's how, and then it was, that's, but thank you for, giving me the opportunity to be live with you.
It was absolutely our pleasure. We have been waiting for this particular evening for the past week and a half. It's the only thing that's been on our minds. And your particular piece in Phoenix has been absolutely inspiring. And I've been trying to like
Yes.
recreate Madhubani art through it.
Okay. Actually, those in Whitefield must have seen that Phoenix artwork. Yeah, since you all are from that part of Bangalore, you must have seen. Because I am staying just opposite, I stay in North Bangalore, so I hardly get an
Okay.
opportunity to see my work. So I have seen only when I went there to sign my painting. That was the only time I saw how it
Oh,
looked.
wow. So we get the pleasure of looking at your beautiful art all the time. So,
Yeah. Okay.
anyways, thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much for
ma'am. Hope you have an
appreciating.
incredible day.
These are the appreciations which actually, um, motivates an artist to take your work forward and, you know, do it every day, try to do something new, to create something new. So it's a lot of motivation, the appreciations that I get from people like you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
So now that we're at the end of the session with ma'am, I would quickly like to remind everybody to stay in tune with what we're doing with Dhanak, because this is the first ever virtual art fest that we've ever had, and your support means a lot. So stay tuned. We have more lives coming up, and stay in touch with us to get to know more. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, audience.
Thank you. Thank you.